Hey guys, it's Jennifer. Alright, so I've been going over my past videos. I'm sure some of you noticed that I pretty much made most of them private for a few days, and then I put some of them back public because I am just essentially revamping my channel because everybody is falling into this same trap. And what I want to do is I want to help you get out of the trap. And I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I have researched this a lot, and it's something that I'm calling the media matrix. Somebody else might have used it, I don't know. But it's a media matrix that's keeping us angry, divided, distracted, and essentially just, I don't know, just in a constant state of confusion, or just, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm sure you feel the same way. It's like, you know there's something going on there, but you can't put your finger on it except to call it fake news or something like that. And people don't understand how much of all of these things actually weigh on people, especially people that are doing the research and, you know, getting frustrated with doing all of this research, showing the truth, and yet getting nothing in return. But I've come up with something that I feel that can change all of this. What if we just make them irrelevant? Make them all irrelevant. And there's ways to do that. And I'm going to show you how to do this. And, you know, we'll learn together. I'm not, like, immune to any of this. But they use the same techniques over and over. And the only way to beat them at their own game is to know their next move. To know the, I don't want to say weapon, but to know what they're using to entice you. What they're using to keep you in that matrix, to keep you in that rabbit hole, or whatever the case may be. Okay? And there's essentially four ways that they do that. Alright, sorry to interrupt, but I figured that because this video is a little bit long, which most of my videos are, and everybody is so uptight and angry right now, I think this video would be absolutely perfect. We can get a good laugh, and also it goes hand in hand with exactly what I'm going to be speaking about for the rest of this video. So let's check out the amazing George Carlin.
I think Americans have some difficulty dealing with reality and have invented a kind of soft language to protect themselves. And this tendency to euphemize, if that's a verb, increases, it seems, with every generation. Here's an example. There's a well-known condition in combat when a fighting man's nervous system has been stressed to the breaking point and he's either snapped or is ready to snap. In the First World War, that condition was known as shell shock. Simple, honest, direct language, 2 syllables, shell shock. Almost sounds like the guns themselves. That was over 80 years ago. Then an entire generation passed, and in the Second World War, the very same combat condition was called battle fatigue. 4 syllables now, takes a little longer to say, doesn't seem to hurt as much. Fatigue is a nicer word than shock. Shell shock. Battle fatigue. Then we had Korea, 1950. Madison Avenue was riding high, and the very same combat condition was called operational exhaustion. We're up to 8 syllables now, and the humanity has been squeezed completely out of the phrase. It's absolutely sterile. Operational exhaustion. Sounds like something that might happen to your car. Finally, of course, there was Vietnam, and given the lies surrounding that war, I guess it's no surprise that the very same condition was called post-traumatic stress disorder. Still 8 syllables, but we've added a hyphen, and And the pain is now completely buried under jargon, post-traumatic stress disorder. I'd be willing to bet that if we'd still been calling it shell shock, some of those Vietnam veterans might have gotten the attention they needed at the time they needed it. But it didn't happen. And one of the reasons, I'm sure, is because of that soft language, the language that takes the life out of life. And it does keep getting worse over time. I'll give you a few more but less dramatic examples. Sometime during my life, toilet paper became bathroom.
How crazy. This was at the National Press Club. I don't know what the meeting was, but I mean, this was broadcasted on C-SPAN. Okay? Let's just think about that for a moment. This was broadcasted on C-SPAN. And he's talking about the lies surrounding Vietnam. Look how much things have changed in just a few years. Let's go ahead.
Issue. I was not consulted on this. It just happened. Sneakers became running shoes. I'll give you a few more but less dramatic examples. Sometime during my life, toilet paper became bathroom tissue. I was not consulted on this. It just happened. Sneakers became running shoes, loafers became slip-ons, motels became motor lodges, trailers became mobile homes, truck stops became travel plazas, and used cars became previously owned transportation. Manicurists evolved into nail technicians. At about the same time, store clerks became product specialists and sales associates. Employees became staff. Uniforms became career apparel. Maids became room attendants, and room service became guest room dining. Information turned into directory assistance. Medicine turned into medication. The dump turned into the landfill. Gambling joints turned into gaming resorts. Shacking up, living together, reruns, encores, encore presentations, forgive me, monkey bars, pipe frame exercise units. Wife beating became intermittent explosive disorder, and constipation became occasional irregularity. Rainforests and wetlands came into existence because the environmentalists discovered people were not willing to give money to save jungles and swamps. And
all right, this goes on for like 10 minutes. I'll play some more at the end. But it reminds me of something whenever I was in the Navy. They went from being mess cooks, which were the cooks, to culinary specialist. Now let me tell you from my first-hand experience, there wasn't really any culinary specialty going on. Now, I'm not going to say they were terrible, but culinary, they were not, or whatever. There was no culinary specialist. And even my job, you know, they changed the name into information systems technician, you know, whatever. And although that, I guess technically that's what we were if you compare it to what it is now, but there's a lot of name changing. But this is all just, okay, let's just roll into what I'm talking about. Learning these is going to help you to be able to just laugh at them. Could you imagine? There's actually a Kickstarter campaign right now for a website called School of Thought. And they focus a lot on logical fallacies and things like that. They already have to where you can buy the posters of different logical fallacies and biases and stuff like that. They're pretty close to their goal, but this website is going to be amazing from what I'm seeing. And could you imagine teaching your child at a young age, or you learning it now, and being able to just look at someone's debate or look at the media and see, I mean, that's not a story. You know, they're using fear. They're using this stuff and you'll be able to point it out just like that, just like that. You won't get caught up into it. It's hard. It's not something that's easy at first because we've been through it for our entire lives. And they've gotten very good at it. So good at it that even highly trained professionals, you know, in these areas of psychological operations or whatever, still hold certain biases and can fall into this. But the more of us that know about these things and know how to combat it, the better it's going to be. And rather than everybody getting so angry at one another and not pointing the finger at the right people, and I'm not even saying point the finger at them because we can just make them irrelevant. They want to elicit an emotional response from you, whether it be a troll on Twitter or a mainstream media talking head, whatever it may be. They want to elicit an emotional response from you. They want to keep you there as long as possible to get their narrative into your head and get you to become in this media matrix box, okay? And not just media. This happens in commercials, it happens in TV, and, you know, people will regurgitate all of these things because they aren't aware of what's going on. But by learning these things, you'll be able to combat this. You'll be able to help your friends combat it and explain it to them in a way that doesn't seem like you're just attacking them for being ignorant. Because we've all fallen in. You know, I was going through all these comments on different sites and different videos and stuff, and it's almost like people go to these videos just to get into an argument. And whether it be a troll or a bot account or whatever, they still feel that they have to make this comment just to feel that they got that I got you moment or whatever. And they don't really add anything of value. You know, you need to add value to get people to understand, because some people just honestly don't understand. And by you coming to them and actually explaining it to them and say, well, actually your video, like a video that I made a comment in yesterday, it was about the Dunning-Kruger effect of the current administration's supporters. And, you know, so it was just filled with hate. All of this stuff is going back and forth. But it was easy to debunk the entire video. Not that I was supporting one side or the other, because that's what you don't want to do either. You don't want to show your hand. You just need to break down the argument when they're using these techniques. See, what they had done was they were talking about immigration and then, you know, violence and all of these things, and citing information that wasn't, they were just citing headlines. This video has 1 million views, and I just simply explained, here's, you know, the table. If you take this table, take 12 million, which is the number of immigrants that they say, illegal immigrants, and you take that number, divide it by the number of crimes per year, and then multiply that by 100,000, you're going to get the per 100,000 value. And that's the only way to actually show a correlation or show if there's a difference between things. You can't just throw out numbers and say, oh, well, it's way lower, or whatever the case may be. Sorry, I don't want to get off track. But, you know, that's all you have to do. And then people will say, oh, well, you know, some people still are going to be in that mindset of they're just angry and they don't care about the facts. And that is something, the barrier you have to break down. And it's not your responsibility to break down other people's, but it's also not worth it for you to just go back and forth with people. You put out the facts and then you leave. The facts are the facts, okay? And once you just realize the techniques that these people are using, these YouTubers that you think that, oh, they're just a random YouTuber. Not always. Sometimes they're working for a big conglomeration, or whatever. And so you're getting angry at something that's never going to reply back to you, or, you know, you're wasting your energy, you're wasting your time. And honestly, I would just say completely just get off of most social media platforms, because like when I go, which I rarely do, go on to Facebook, my gosh, I swear to you, I just like my blood pressure just goes up just from being on there. And I think that that's kind of what it's for. They want you to be in this fear and anger. And I'm just like, what is wrong with these people? So I've decided, why don't I just teach the people that actually want to learn how to fight back in an intelligent way, okay? And not in a violent way and all of these things. You break it down with facts, and you got to learn their games, their strategies. It's like a game of Risk. You have to know what their next moves are, or you really don't need to know their next moves. You can point them out by just saying, that's a logical fallacy, it's this one, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to tell you about these 4 specific ones that have kind of gotten us into this matrix of complete confusion, okay? I took notes for this. So these propaganda techniques that are used, we have, our first one is reframing. Second one is repeated affirmations. Third one is imitative learning. And the fourth one is denial and distraction. And a lot of us already know these things, but do you really know them? Yes and no, but you still get trapped. And so that's where you have to add in all of the logical fallacies and how to make your brain, you know, I guess unschool your brain or whatever. So reframing, oh my gosh, this is a huge one. This is where we have made our normal language into something completely different to soften the language, okay? But you know, actually let's play the clip, because it's showing them all. I put them all together, or I'll put them all together. Let's take a look at
euphemistic language that conceals reality.
Poor people used to live in slums. Now the economically disadvantaged occupy substandard housing in the inner cities. And they're broke. They're broke. They don't have a negative cash flow position. They're broke.
And today, America's love affair with semantics has given birth to a new phrase to describe the rich.
Job creators in America basically are on strike.
Increasing taxes on job creators.
This administration and this president, policies are hostile to job creators.
Instead of just saying the wealthy who make over $250,000 a year, if you say job creator, then you say, well, we can't raise their taxes. They're the ones who create jobs. When in reality, when their taxes were higher under Bill Clinton, 3 times as many jobs were created.
The propensity to add softer terms to the English lexicon has surged over the decades, particularly when it comes to military-related language.
Damaging euphemisms, like when, instead of saying innocent civilians were killed, in a drone strike, you say there was collateral damage. Collateral damage, which to me is the worst expression. No, it's innocent men, women, and children were killed. And the collateral damage sounds like a real estate transaction.
Allied soldiers shooting each other has become known as
friendly fire.
Kidnapping and transferring a terrorist suspect is called
extraordinary rendition.
And the torture.
You see how they've changed all of these normal words into softer language, and to where it doesn't seem so bad. It's no big deal. You know, like when W. Bush was in, he came up with the Clean Water Act and the Clean Sky Act, when in reality what they did was they allowed more pollution to go into the rivers, more like emissions and all of this stuff. But people just went by the headline. The clean air. Well, I like clean air, okay. I like clean water. What about free trade? Free trade? That sounds great. That sounds great. Not saying, oh, we're going to shut down the plants in Nebraska and send them over to Mexico, paying these people 75 cents an hour, and then ship it back to you without them having to pay any duty tax. You know, things like that. So I'm obviously going to have to split this video up. And so I'm going to stop right here for this one. And the next one I'm going to discuss the other three and also start on the logical fallacies. Logical fallacies are just so much fun. They really are. Because you can debunk almost everything because that's what people use. Almost everybody uses these daily. And it's hard. It's hard not to. Especially like the whataboutism. But what about Hillary? I hate saying that one, but because I'm probably going to get this video demonetized. But, you know, it's always, well, what about this? What about, you know, that one's too quo-quo-y or whatever. But it's also called the whataboutism. That one is used all the time. All the time. But I'm going to stop there. I'm on my way into my son's field trip. So, y'all have a wonderful day. And I will try to be back later to get those other ones going. Please like, share, subscribe. Because of the controversy of my videos that I've done, I'm in that loop of silencing or whatever. So, please do that. And if you would like to support my channel, all my links are in the description or in the pinned comments. I might start putting them in the pinned comments. I haven't decided yet. But thank you so much for watching. Y'all have a wonderful